With rumors that the Simpsons ride and Rip Ride Rockit could be closing soon, I think it's time to start panicking about what's on the chopping block next at the Universal Orlando Resort. So for this video, I have 4 categories: the permanently safe, the 50-50, and the done for. Starting off with 3 in the permanently safe category, Jurassic Park and Harry Potter, of course, both have been way too successful, and Minions, which as much as I want them to go, is way too successful for families, so yeah. Marvel Superhero Island. Now, if we didn't live in a world where Universal acquiring Warner Brothers was a possibility, I would still think this land would stay. Because, to be honest, Marvel is easily replaceable with DC, and with Pokemon replacing Spider-Man in Japan, and Pokemon replacing Simpsons in Orlando, I'm sensing a theme here. I kind of feel like Universal is doing this to Simpsons in Orlando because they still want to keep Marvel in a way. And not to mention, Marvel is a far more unique and valuable and bigger land than Simpsons is. And given that the Marvel contract has no end date but the Simpsons and Spider-Man in Japan do, we need to get those the hell out of here so Disney doesn't nag us anymore. So we'll have to wait and see if Universal is gonna buy Warner Brothers or another company, or not even enter the acquisition game at all. So let me flash back to an older video I made, for the sake of laziness by the way. In the past few months, they have been making tons of refurbishments and a bunch of repaints and redos on the cutouts in the land. And by the time I'm recording this, they just added something new to the comic shop. Like, look at these curtains. They also brought back the J. Jonah Jameson statue, which was missing for years. I don't know how long it was gone, but it just came back. They also opened a brand new food stand, which replaced the hot dog stand. This is not the previous hot dog stand, this is a brand new food stand where they serve different types of food. So yeah, long story short, because of all these changes, Marvel is not going anywhere anytime soon. Now onto the 50-50 category, Reign of Kong. Now, if you haven't been following the news lately, Universal just got rid of the 3D at Reign of Kong, which is sad because I feel like the 3D is one of the saving graces of the attraction. And not to mention, when it comes to the public's reception of this ride, you either love it or you hate it. I personally like it. Could both those reasons be a sign that the ride is knocking on death's door? 50-50. Heck, the ride is not even 10 years old yet. And even if they were to get rid of it, what would they replace it with? Well, it's easy. The Monsterverse. Make the ride more physical and adding Godzilla in there. But Undead, the ride building is too small. Well, if Mario Kart has always taught us anything, there's always augmented reality. But what are reasons why I don't think they'll replace this ride? Well, it's King Kong. King Kong is a Universal Parks mascot. The ride isn't even a decade old, and they could always bring back the 3D. There's only so much you could do. Men in Black Alien Attack. This I will also put in the 50-50 category. Now, when it comes to the recent Ghostbusters deal, Universal has every chance in the world to retheme this ride to Ghostbusters or something else. But of course, Universal wants to do a show instead of a ride because of a possible Luigi's Mansion attraction at Epic Universe. Again, if I were Universal, I'd make Ghostbusters a ride, but hey, it's your park, not mine. Unfortunately, the Men in Black contract is nowhere available online, unlike the Marvel and Harry Potter contracts. My theory is that the Men in Black contract is very similar to the Marvel contract in a way, as in Universal could keep it for as long as they want, and when they're done, Universal could say, okay Sony, you can take it back, make our own theme parks with it. And I feel like another reason why Universal has kept this ride for so long is because it's a thrilling, spinning, shooting ride. It's a one of its kind for sure. And not to mention, they keep refurbishing the animatronics in this place. When I recently went back in October of 2023 for Halloween Horror Nights, I'll be back again this year, come say hi if you want to. The animatronics looked as clean and as polished as ever. And speaking of changes, look at this guy right here. He used to have an orange cannon, now he has a blue cannon. I know, it's a small change, but it kind of shows us that Universal continues to make modern day changes to this 25-year-old attraction. Not to mention, I also heard somewhere that they refurbished the guns on this ride, so yeah. And not to mention, they added in a new cue video, like a new instructions video. How do you explain that now? Now, yes, we have a new shooting ride, that being VillainCon, but it's a completely different and watered-down experience compared to Men in Black. And speaking of VillainCon, I could see them redoing Men in Black to make it similar to VillainCon in Mario Kart, as in connecting the ride to your phone, and adds points to your phone, and next thing you know, you're on the leaderboard at the end of the ride. Please do, by the way. But what are some reasons on why I think Universal could get rid of this ride? Well, it's obvious. The franchise isn't relevant anymore. The recent movie in the franchise didn't do so well. A new Men in Black movie is reportedly in development, but who knows if it's gonna be good, or it could keep this ride alive longer. Also, I should probably be talking about this on my main channel, but they're bringing back Will Smith, I just know it. And even if they were to get rid of this ride, it'll be likely that they would keep everything on this ride, just retheme it to a different IP. And also, hold on a second, I'm getting a call. Yes? Uh-huh. Oh, okay, I'll tell people the news. Well, everyone, it looks like Men in Black is closing for a month-long refurb in late 2024. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be adding anything new. They're just going to fix some stuff and modernize the technology a little bit. So, yeah, I'd say enjoy this ride while it lasts, folks. Transformers. Now, Transformers, on the other hand, don't worry. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Probably around the 20-year mark, which is 2033. Man, that thought is scary. Transformers is a Universal Parks mascot. They're in every Universal park except for Japan, which makes no sense because Transformers was created in Japan. Hasbro just bought the American toy rights to it. However, I do believe Universal will remake this ride sooner or later because Paramount is reviving the franchise, which started with Bumblebee, which was good, then Rise of the Beast, which was mid, and now a G.I. Joe crossover movie coming out, which, hold up, as much as I love G.I. Joe, like love, I don't want them to remake this ride into a Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover, because it's gonna be way too cluttered for a ride. There's also Transformers 1 coming out, which looks oof. While Rise of the Beast's box office is nowhere near the Michael Bay movies, it still did decent for a movie its size. So yeah, if Paramount continues to make good Transformers movies, or maybe one of them becomes a bigger hit, Universal could probably keep this ride a lot longer than the 20-year mark. And with the new movies, you can make a new story, a new time period, and given how small RC is, you could finally add animatronics to this ride. Which, you make a Transformers ride and there's not a single animatronic, given that they are robots? Come on, Universal. Apparently they originally did plan for that, they just didn't have the space in either park, question mark. So yeah, if the franchise continues to go strong, I think Universal could definitely remake this ride, which I think is likely. And if you do get rid of Transformers, I'd say make the land exclusive to Universal Beijing, and maybe keep it in Singapore, because that's where it originally opened, but that park kinda needs new rides too, so yeah. Revenge of the Mummy. Now, out of all the rides in the resort, I don't see going anywhere anytime soon in the permanently safe category. It's Revenge of the Mummy. Why? Well, because this attraction is very unique compared to everything else at the resort. It's a psychological roller coaster dark ride that takes place in Egypt with many special effects. This one, I'd say, is too fragile, metaphorically. Now, sure, there was Confrontation before it and Jaws before and after it, but not to mention, they had Revenge of the Mummy close for almost a year-long refurb to expand its lifespan. They redid the animatronics, they got new screen scenes, they got new effects, they changed the hardware, except they did not give the ride a retrack. Which, because of that, because roller coasters don't last forever because of all the pressure for 20 years, that's why the Hulk had to get a refurb, and that's why Dueling Dragons was closed. I do see them giving another lengthy refurb for this ride with a brand new track. A lot of people say that because of the Monsters Land and Epic Universe, Revenge of the Mummy could be replaced, which there is no law that says that that's the case. In fact, Harry Potter is in almost every single park of the resort, and the Brendan Fraser Mummy franchise is very different from the classic Monsters franchise, despite it being a reboot of the 1932 Mummy movie, so yeah, I don't see this ride going anywhere anytime soon. Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon. Now, Jimmy Fallon is not a bad ride. It does have the charm that Jimmy Fallon has on his show, but Jimmy Fallon and other late-night talk show hosts have unfortunately been in a bit of controversy as of late. I'm not gonna get into anything divisive, but you know what I'm talking about. I do think that a controversial figure is bad for business, especially in a family-friendly theme park. I do think Jimmy Fallon is a cool dude, and a nice guy, definitely, but again, he's just corrupted by controversy, so yeah. Avoid the word, avoid the word, avoid the word, avoid the word! I will say this ride is easily rethemable because it's one screen, and you could do so much because this ride is in the New York land. And plus, Jimmy Fallon is not going to be a part of the Tonight Show forever, and I feel like that was the best part of the queue for this ride, the history of all the hosts, so yeah. Seuss Landing. What are you going to replace Seuss Landing with? Now, a few years ago, there was a cancel culture campaign against Dr. Seuss, causing 6 of his books to be removed permanently. But let's be honest, parents are still gonna read these books to their kids. And to be honest, the whole cancel culture thing and the whole everything is istophobe is a fad anyway. And call me crazy, but I actually do think they are gonna bring back those books if there's demand for it, if the cancel culture mob moves on.
What have I done?
But hopefully we get a modernized remake of the Cat in the Hat ride, because that desperately needs an update. Toon Lagoon. Now, Toon Lagoon I feel like is a strange scenario, because nothing in this land is relevant except for Popeye, who newer generations still know who he is to this day. Heck, I didn't even know who Dudley Do-Right was until I visited the Universal Orlando Resort for the first time. Look at the Phantom. I love this character, but no one knows who the heck he is, except for me. If there was any other Land and Islands Adventure that's going after Lost Continent, I definitely think this will be the one. However, the rides aren't going anywhere, mostly because they are beloved water rides who get longer wait times once the Florida sun gets boiling every few times a year. So if anything, I think we could see a retheme of this land and the rides, including Popeye, because I think guests desire something new, and a new ride where the amphitheater sits right now. Now on to another permanently safe category, it's E.T. Adventure. Now, there is a rumor that Spielberg doesn't want this attraction to go, and apparently Universal didn't tell him that they were going to replace E.T. in Hollywood and Japan, so he threatened to leave the parks because of that. Now, I find some holes in this rumor mostly because
you sound like a baby!
Why would Universal not tell Spielberg that they were going to replace E.T. in both parks, and even if they knew that he was going to get pissed? E.T. has been gone from both Hollywood and Japan for a long time, so I think when it comes to Orlando, I do think Spielberg has something to do with it, but I feel like Universal kept it because it's the last opening day attraction at the park. And even if the rumor is true, if Spielberg were to, sorry, I'm not gonna complete that sentence, and they were to remove the ride because of that, it would be the scummiest thing and the most controversial thing a theme park company would ever do. It'd be anger all over the place. So I feel like since it's the last opening day attraction, maybe if that rumor is true also, this ride is here to stay. Fast and Furious Supercharge? Yeah, this one's going. This ride has been heavily panned. There's a new coaster coming to Hollywood, and it's coming to Orlando sooner or later. Whether it's gonna replace Rip Ride Rockit or it's gonna replace this area, I think it's more likely gonna replace Rip Ride Rockit. To that, I'd say good riddance. So yeah, here's the graph right here. I am sorry if it doesn't look great. I am sorry if there's only a handful of attractions on 2 sections. But overall, this is what I believe is gonna happen in the next decade or two. So yeah, that's the end of the video, and I'll see you all later. Bye.